Welcome everyone to the I Work For Me podcast. I'm Melina Lewis and I'm super excited to have with me today Lulu, and that is French, and that's why I can say it so gorgeously, even though that might be my only French word. But I am really happy to have her on the show today. She's going to give us a lot of insight into all the things that she is up to. She's a brand strategist, she has a consultancy, she has businesses where she's co-founders involved in coffee pods, an amazing array of really interesting things. So I'm going to jump straight in and say hello, Lulu.
Hello, and thank you so much for wanting to chat with me. It means a lot. Thank you.
Oh, such a pleasure. And it's just, delightful to meet so many interesting South Africans. So Lulu, I wanted to ask you just first quick question. What did you want to be when you were a little girl?
I always wanted to be a writer. My earliest memory is of sitting at what must have been like a very old, probably one of the first computers, something very old, and starting like the paragraph of my first book. You know, I always had that seed of that big dream inside me. And I used to beg aunts, uncles, my parents to read constantly, like to read stories to me until I could read myself. So I always had an intense fascination with and love for words.
Oh, amazing. And now tell me, how has that extrapolated? So I think you do a bit of writing in amongst everything else you do. So tell us how that love for writing has grown into what you do today.
Cool. Yeah. So it's been a bit of an interesting journey, as I think life is. I followed my kind of writing dream by studying journalism. I went to those. And there I decided not to specialize in writing because I thought, cool, I got this. No, but it was a very intense TV course, which was really exciting that I really wanted to do. And they only, there was a limited number of graduates that they took at fourth year level. And all my friends are doing it. So, and they did cool things like make music videos and documentaries. And actually, now that I think about it, that was probably my first foray into, I guess, the land that I find myself in now, which is marketing, right? Telling stories. And I guess it's the same thing. So from a very roundabout way, I kind of landed into what I'm doing now, I think through following impulses and instincts and, opportunities arise.
Mm-hmm.
So my writing career, that's kind of been a little bit sidelined. It is my ultimate ambition and goal. And I do, as you say, try and make time for it, especially in the evenings or when I can. It's definitely one of my happiest places to be, is to sit at my writing desk and no screen, actually, pen and paper.
Wow.
And explore. So I don't know. I think my love for writing, in terms of how it's extrapolated into my career, is I think it's a different kind of writing, but obviously needing to convey big ideas into something quite simple that people can understand. Like, let's say you work on a very big strategy, and I think being able to choose the right words and articulate the essence of what you want that brand or project or campaign to convey, having a command of language, I think, has really helped me. And the same when it comes to brands and building brands and educating people on what you're doing. I think to be able to do it in a way that people can really understand and relate to, and to be able to convey that tone and that message has been something that's been very helpful for me, and I consider a gift.
Yes. Great. And so I also have worked with brands and strategy and in marketing and words. And as you say, I feel that connection in the sense that, yes, also one of my first memories was sitting down. Mine wasn't even an old computer, it was a typewriter. So let's hide the gray hair there. But that sense of being able to use those words and turn them into that story. And everything actually is built off story in my humble opinion. And it's about being able to shrink the story down to a sentence, or it's about being able to turn it into a novel. And it's the play with words and how we use them. You know, you often in business will get asked for what's your elevator pitch, you know,
Yeah.
and that's a short story with just a few words.
Yeah, a tweet.
Yeah.
For sure. You know, words are super powerful. I truly believe in the power of words to move people and shift people. And, you know, I've made a conscious decision in my career to only really work with brands and campaigns that I really believe in, because I do feel that branding has also entered a new foray, especially in, you know, recent times, and especially what we've been going through these last few months and moving forward. And I think brands have the opportunity to really be exemplary citizens. You know, a lot of people look up to them, we buy into them, we resonate with them. They totally do express our identity to some degree, you know, to whether you want to use you know, a type of eco, you know, dishwashing liquid, or, you know, whether you're drinking a Heineken versus a Castle Light or whatever, you know, they all say something we buy into, especially brands that we really love. So I feel that, you know, increasingly brands just have this incredible power to do a lot more than just sell products. You know, they have an opportunity to really be a part of a new narrative, and to inspire you know, in our daily lives, through our daily interactions with them. So that for me is also where the words come in, because you really got a platform, you know, as a brand, to be able to be part of, this new consciousness.
Absolutely. I can give one example that stands out, you know, just in this week, is that I like to listen, you know, on my iTunes on my computer while I'm working. And I opened up iTunes and it was a black screen, and, you know, it was a Black Lives Matter campaign, and it was music from Black artists, Black American artists. Yeah. And it was fantastic. I was so impressed that they took over their platform and they said what they really felt strongly about. And I was like, wow. I often think iTunes is sometimes a bit of a rubbish, you know, it's got a poor like search functionality and all of that. And I was just like, wow, that's amazing. There it is. And I immediately listened to those songs. I was like, wow, I'm going to learn something new, you know. And brands do have power, and they can help us to be better people if they really want to. So aligning yourself very carefully to brands is important as a consumer and as a business person.
I think it is. It's a reflection of your choices and your beliefs, essentially. And I think that moving forward, now that you know, things are becoming far more transparent, and, you know, you can argue, I mean, this, you know, Black Lives Matter and all the black screens that, you know, we saw during Blackout Tuesday, you know, you can see, and there is that debate. Is it performative? You know, hopping on the bandwagon because you need to, and it's, you know, or is it something deeper, and do you have a deeper message to share? And I think that is what we're going to see, or what I hope moving forward, is the real authenticity. Because a brand, you know, can just be a veneer, and then when you dig a little bit deeper and you find out about, you know, the story behind it, or the values, or the core beliefs, or what I call the pillars, that's really the DNA of a brand, you know. And I think if we, as you say, I don't really use the word consumers, because I think we're human beings, we're people. But I think that if we take the time to dig a little bit deeper, you know, and actually find out about the authenticity of certain brands, and really ask the questions, you know, where are you getting your ingredients from? Where is it sourced from? What do you believe in? What do you really stand for? Then I think that, again, entrenches the power of brands moving forward too, because it becomes a two-way street.
Yeah, you know, absolutely. Yeah, we have to, align ourselves. And I almost think I'm going to have to hold myself back and not start my tirade against, you know, the Unilever Brothers brands of the world, and how they should be picking up their own trash. And we'll leave it there.
Shame.
Yeah, I tell you, I'm like, they should be collecting it, not me making eco bricks. So, but we'll put that aside. That'll be another interview. We'll talk about that. So, Lulu, tell us, because your other two brands speak strongly to building conscious brands. So, can you tell us about your other two businesses?
Yes, a pleasure. So the first one is 4 weeks. So I started it last year with my cousins, Daniel and Oliver Pretorius. We come from a very tight-knit family. We are French Mauritian descent, so there's an army of us. And yeah, coffee's always been something that's really thread through our lives. You know, it's something that still brings us a lot of joy. Like most of our, I think poignant moments have been over a cup of coffee, to meet for a cappuccino or whatever. And we've been lucky enough to have grown up with, really nice commercial espresso machines at home. Or so we've got we snobs, basically. We coffee snobs. And we came up with, we were actually by my uncle. He had been involved in he's a deeply passionate guy in terms of the environment and very, very forward thinking. And he really inspired the idea of finding an alternative to a plastic or aluminium pod, that a coffee pod that we would see in Nespresso, or now, since they lost their patent in 2013, it's, you can see a variety of different brands on the market. And obviously we have been seeing more industrially compostable pods. And just so you know, we use the word pods and capsules interchangeably. We decided to use pod just because it felt a lot more friendly, and it is very different to a capsule, which is, made from such a different material, plastic and aluminium foil. Anyway, so yeah, we really wanted to I guess we could say that we were very aware of the brilliance of Nespresso machines. I actually was gifted one probably about 8 years ago, and to be honest, it has sat in my cupboard for the majority of that time. A, because of course the waste, and B, because I wasn't really a fan of the coffee, to be honest, for my personal taste. And especially, here in South Africa and Cape Town, we're so lucky. There's a proliferation of the most amazing micro roasters and such delicious coffee, that to be able to go to a coffee shop, whether it be Deluxe or Pauline's, or it's like a big treat. And so we could understand how amazing and how brilliant the concept of Nespresso is. Like, press a button and voila, espresso. And I found myself sitting around a boardroom meeting with maybe like 14, 16, up to 18 people, and everybody obviously orders an espresso, and it's come from an espresso machine. So there are those instances where you've been maybe in a big client meeting, or you're on your holiday home, or even you're at home and you just simply don't have time, we realized the brilliance of Nespresso machines, but we wanted to try and find a solution to not only the waste, but also the freshness of the coffee inside. We wanted to challenge that. Why couldn't we have our favorite local roasters at the push of a button, and coffee that's freshly roasted and ground, which, as you know, just makes all the difference.
Oh, yeah.
So we've developed a pod made from the gas, which is a sugarcane waste fiber.
Oh, wow.
Once you've extracted the juice from the sugarcane, it's what's left over.
Amazing.
So our pod is made from that bagasse, and it's got a vegetable fiber lid and an edible ink stamp. So that's how we branded them. So it's just got 3 components to it. And every week we get freshly roasted beans from our 4 partner roasters, and they are Deluxe, Rosetta, Turbidor, and Naked Coffee. So we invited them to be part of our 4 weeks collective, and they were amazing and really coming on board with us. And we grind their beans and then pack them into our pods and sell them fresh weekly. And we called ourselves 4 weeks because, there is kind of a cardinal rule when it comes to enjoying coffee. And that is, you should enjoy it within a 4-week window, from roast to shot. Like, that really is when you can enjoy maximum flavor. And we also called it 4 weeks because the pod itself, once you've used it, takes 4 weeks to start breaking down, and in 2 months it's gone. So it is intended for your home compost heap, and it literally breaks down at the same rate as an apple core.
Oh, wow. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm a coffee snob like you. My parents are European immigrants. So my mother is Italian and my father is Cypriot. And so, yeah, quite a mix. And my grandmother, so I grew up also the same as you. So we grew up in a world where everyone around us drank coffee. And if you were very fancy, then you drank Nescafe. But yeah, that wasn't going to cut it, for Europeans. So, my grandmother, when they lived in a farm, that she would grow her own coffee beans because she couldn't find anything she liked. And then she would roast them herself. And then she would grind them and do the whole, she was that, with the classic cigarette and like 3 espressos later, hardcore Italians post-war. So so I totally get that absolute passion for all of the elements that make up coffee right to the end. And so I love that you've stuck to those rules around 4 weeks. I personally now I'm very lazy. I buy ground coffee, but I grew up in a world where you bought the beans, you ground your coffee, and then you drank it, like instantly. That's how you made a cup of coffee in the morning. But for crying in a bucket, I don't have 30 minutes to make coffee. So
voila, 4 weeks.
Exactly.
It was quite amazing, like during this lockdown. I mean, I like to sometimes work from a coffee shop, so I work largely at home, and I do like to maybe spend a morning, take my laptop, and it's something that I do and love to go out for a coffee, and typically would get a coffee at least once a day. And then during lockdown, really couldn't. So it was really amazing to see how 4 weeks could fill that gap for me.
Great. So did you pull out that machine?
Oh, definitely. So when we started the product and the company, of course, we've done tons of testing, and to get it to this level really has taken a lot of time and effort and learning, because as you can imagine, coffee is such a volatile ingredient, and we've got coffee from 4 different roasters. They roast it at different temperatures, and maybe just if it's slightly over roasted, then our grind doesn't work, and so there's a lot of cane. So to get something to work in something as natural as sugarcane hasn't necessarily been like an easy task, and we are honest in saying that it might not be 100% yet, because it's not as forgiving a material as plastic or aluminium. That plastic and aluminium is indestructible, and it's sealed with aluminium foil lid, and so everything's kind of been designed to work in that machine. So we've really tried to we've really had to try and crack it, and we're very happy. I mean, I must be honest, I think we're 90% there, if not a little bit more. And the flavors and the response we've received from everybody who supported us has just been incredible.
Yeah.
And the real litmus test, I think, for me was my mom, who's like a serious, her coffee means a lot to her, and especially her cappuccino, and she's very loyal to her daily flat white. And again, during lockdown, like really to hear her say, like, this has saved my life and it's so delicious, and I don't actually need to go out for my coffee, like that was a big thumbs up for us. Yeah.
Definitely. I can just imagine that, like, it's okay, because my folks and I, we have coffee battles. They come to us and they go, how did you make this? And then I go to them and I'm like, you make it too strong. And, so family coffee wars are a real thing. So kudos to you that your mom gave you the thumbs up. And just a thought that popped into my head was that in terms of Nespresso users, I must tell you, here in the Cape, people take many things when they go camping. And one of those things, I mean, obviously it's the ice machine, I mean, number one. And then number two is the Nespresso machine. No, I kid you not. Look, I have seen people with microwaves, like, kid you not. But the Nespresso machine loyally goes camping. And so I think that is perfect in terms of your pods, because often you have to take your rubbish, you know, if you go to a really remote place, you have to take your rubbish back with you. And so your pods would be perfect. You could literally dig them in the ground and leave them. So I think, yeah, there's an untapped camper market for in a few months, maybe, when they go back to camping. But that's a classic one.
There's even a little innovation called a Nanopresser, which literally is like a portable Nespresso machine. It literally just takes one part.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it exists, and I think for hardcore hikers who don't want to lug a machine up the mountain, that would be an excellent solution. A joy to launch and build 4 weeks, like to be a part of. We had just to build something that I really believe in and love with people that I love has been just a pure privilege. And secondly, to be part of something that really feels good, and that we really believe in, A, on the coffee side, and B, in terms of obviously the environment and consciousness. And we have a mission statement, and that mission is to shift coffee culture and habits 4 weeks at a time. And it's quite a long, like it's quite futuristic, because it's going to take some time to really shift everything. But what we mean by that is, now having worked with roasters, we've become so exposed to what sustainability really means in coffee. And that means like how the farmer is being paid. Coffee is quite notorious for having this very dark history of this middleman who takes all the fat, and farmers are left with like below minimum wages. So that's what we mean when we mean like shifting coffee. How can we have an impact with the roasters that we work with to have a heightened consciousness about real sustainability, farm to cup? And then in terms of culture, in terms of, pod coffee for many people has been considered second rate. It doesn't really meet that standard of excellence, and we really want to challenge that. We really want to challenge the guilt associated perhaps with having a shot of coffee made through your Nespresso machine because you don't have the time. And then in terms of habits, like we really do believe that something so small as the choices you make, or a daily choice, like switching, to something that may be a little bit kinder, whatever that may be, can have an impact. And we, one of our, I think, greatest success stories so far has been, we launched at the Oranje City Farm Market in November last year. And within I think the second or third week, we had a lovely lady who lives here in Sea Point who, she was a little bit skeptical. She was willing to buy a jar. It has 30 pods in it, and she was willing to take a risk. And she said, I drink a lot of Nespresso, so let's see. She came back the next week. She was like, oh my God, I absolutely love it. And she wanted to try, because you can try all the different roasters. She wanted to try all of them. Anyway, she's probably become one of our top fans. And the one weekend she came back and she ran up to us at our stand at the market. And she bought her regular, 50 pods for the week. And we asked her, would you typically have bought 5 sleeves of Nespresso? And she said, definitely. Every week, 5 sleeves. And but guess what? Guess what I got this week? And we said, what? She said, a worm farm. She started composting her organic waste at home.
That's divine. Yay, there you go.
That's what we mean by shifting habits. Like all of a sudden, like, hold on, what's happening to this when I throw it away, and why can't I maybe? And all of a sudden, like you're starting to compost, and then maybe you're paying, a little bit more attention to your garden or your pot plants, and it's just this beautiful, what we call a shift. What our little icon represents, like just 4 pieces. It actually was inspired by the Japanese art of kintsugi, when something's made to be more beautiful because it's been broken.
Yes.
And like the system is a little bit broken. What if like we all come together? So they're 4 little pieces in our logo. And it represents like, people coming together to create something new that's even more beautiful than it was before. And that together we can shift the system.
I absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah. Now I can see you're so passionate about it. And I love that it comes from a place of more than just a coffee pot. Sure, it's a new and dynamic, it's an innovative product. Sure, okay, great. So there was an idea that was used to create the product. But more than that is that you're hoping to shift the way people think, which aligns to the brand work that you do also quite nicely. So obviously that is your, because I believe, successful businesses come from that core belief system. And these, as you've said, you're aligning your work and your brands to brands that resound. And in the same way, you've created this brand that resounds with those same beliefs. And so it all links so beautifully together. And I love that story of that woman. It's so fantastic, because I was saying to a friend the other night, we started watching this program on Netflix about the planets, about the planet with the kids. And, they're like, and our polar bears are growing up underweight. And, and my heart breaks, because I feel so unable to stop this destruction, that, and so then, yes, we tried little things, sure, it's an eco brick, but I don't really know if anyone really uses them. And then, okay, I'll buy my organic veg, and, but you try lots of little things, and you can only hope that those pieces will come together and that we'll be able to shift something. But if someone is now taking those pods, she's not putting however many pods per week in the trash, sending it off to some dump, and she's now composting it. So that is a significant shift. 5 years.
500 years.
500 years to compost those things.
I don't know the latest stats, but I think in 2019, 56 billion landed in landfill.
No.
They say it's like around the earth, like, I don't know, however many times. So it's bad.
Very bad.
It's very bad. Yeah.
Drink Nespresso, people out there. Make sure you do not buy those non-compostable, disgusting pods. So do not buy them. Buy 4 weeks rather. Yeah, okay, I'm becoming your biggest fan. I don't use Nespresso. We do ground coffee, old style machine, or the Bialetti. But for those of you that need that quick coffee, make sure that your pods are eco-friendly. Good, cool. So you've got another business. Tell us about that. I know that's coming, but do you want to give us any insight into maybe that idea? So that's new. So maybe someone out there has got an idea. They've started it. They're like, COVID, but maybe going to push through. Where are you at? And any advice in that space?
Sure. So I can't share too much info other than that it's a very high conscience, high-end African skincare line. At the moment, it's no face product, so it's for the body, and it is a self-care range. So just really, I think, unbelievable. I mean, I'm biased, but also I have worked a bit in skincare with some international brands, and I really think that these formulations, again, have been created with just the utmost integrity. And my business partner and the founder of the business, I actually started with her as a strategist. She asked me to help work on her brand strategy, and we subsequently became partners, which is very, very cool. But the seed of the idea obviously came from her, and she is she's very unique in terms of her levels of integrity and also her commitment to wellness. I mean, she walks and talks it and lives and breathes it, right from wellness meaning, not negotiating on that hour of meditation and journaling in the morning, or doing her yoga flow no matter what, or breaking and going for a walk, or knowing that the day is quite stressful and she actually needs to take half a day just to ground herself, which I think is incredible. She's constantly an inspiration to me. But anyway, that has really spilled over into the products, and it was very, very important for her to work directly with local suppliers of all these amazing and African ingredients.
Wow.
So whether it be, so we've obviously developed a range that includes products such as like a gorgeous body cream and a body wash, and everything is natural. It's obviously clean, green, vegan, and it's prebiotic. So just in terms of the formulations themselves, they're outstanding. And I think something that we've been super, super proud of is that every ingredient is traceable right to the source, and it's all community empowerment initiatives or small farms that the harvesters are part of the enterprise and are benefiting directly, and again not going through a middleman. And we really took a lot of time and attention in finding those sources. So yeah, as I said, like our baobab oil or mongogo nut oil, or there's a range of the most incredible ingredients from across the continent.
Oh.
And it was very important for us we really wanted to elevate Africa's magic. That really is the purpose of the brand. And we kept on seeing these amazing French brands, or the skincare or body care. We want Aesop, or it's where and not to take anything away from some of the amazing local brands that are already on the market, but we just thought that there's really a space to do something that really does celebrate African ingredients in a new way. So yeah, I can't share a lot more, but it's been such an incredible brand to work on. It obviously, I think working on anything African is just, I think as Africans we have such a unique love for our country, our continent, for the spirit of Africa, and it's been quite interesting to look at it. I mean, how can you group it? It's a continent, yet it's so diverse, and there's so much to it. It is so multi-layered, from its beauty to its history to its diversity to its nature. I mean, it's a celebration, the spirit, the people, it's incredible. So it's been such a joy to really work on a brand that our goal is, as we say, to elevate Africa's magic and really, be such a really give it its credit.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's wonderful. And I'm a big fan of, I think, natural ingredients and then using African, so being able to source locally where you don't necessarily have to put something on a ship or a plane. You could use a truck to get it, from point A to point B. You do need to transport things. So, but that's super exciting. And can I ask, in terms of packaging, how are you guys going to get around that? So that is a huge issue for me with cosmetics, is around packaging. And I'm always surprised that one can't go back and get a refill. Things like shampoo and all of that, I'm like, why can't I just pop in, fill up my bottle and pay and go? I can do it with olive oil, but I can't do it with shampoo. I mean, come on. So I always think like, are you going to be trying to solve that as well?
Yes, yeah. I mean, I think trying to find packaging locally is really a challenge. And so there are some constraints there. Just in terms of some of the technology, not really being readily available and being quite limited to even things that maybe are available in the country are already imported. So then it works out like if you want to support a company like Console, where obviously everything is made and available here. Versus something like aluminium bottles, which I like to ship, which is quite cool and quite easy to refill, yet you have to import them. So it's a bit of a tricky one to navigate, and we are still in that space. But we're definitely going the refill route, and it's very, very important for us to be as zero waste as possible. And the whole brand has been built with, a very high level of consciousness in mind on every level. I don't think our chemist has ever been pushed as hard as, and he's like, you guys are crazy, like you've pushed me so hard in terms of how natural it is, and but how effective. And and so I didn't answer your question about brand people who are maybe starting new companies or brands during this time. And it hasn't been easy, and obviously especially if you can't be considered an essential service, which I think for many companies, and especially those that haven't launched yet, you can't. I think if you can find ways, so the beauty of being a startup is your agility, and being able to be lean and to pivot if needed.
Yeah.
And I think you need to have, ideally, if you are doing it on your own, you need to really dig deep and maybe inspire yourselves with stories from other entrepreneurs who've done it. Because some of the best stories have been, out of adversity. And pushing a bit harder, and leaning, if you are doing it on your own, lean on people where you can. That would be my advice. Try and get some kind of support or mentorship, and don't be afraid to ask for help or advice from people who maybe done it before, or people who maybe have different skills and expertise where maybe you are lacking. I think people, especially at this time, are willing to help. So if you do have access to anybody who could give you some advice, in whatever aspect that may be, go for it. And if you do have a partner or a team, I think use this, you've got to really try and think out the box. And often they can be such blessings and just, things like this can be opportunities and blessings in disguise, because all of a sudden will make you think about perhaps launching in a different way or taking a different approach that you hadn't really thought of before. And I think the worst thing you could do is stagnate or just give up or, lose faith, because there's always a way and anything is possible. And I think sometimes it could even work, you could surprise yourself and it could work out to be even better than you had imagined before. So my advice is go for it. Don't let it stop you. Find a way through.
Yes. I think, well, for what else are you going to do? Like, find a job now? No, you may as well give it your best shot and see what.
Put enough energy, positive energy. I know it's sometimes easier said than done, but there's always a way. And like sometimes the best businesses have really started in like the leanest, most ingenious ways.
And I think it is really possible to make it happen. I'm curious that I've noticed. So you've got your two businesses, your pods and your skincare range. Those are with partners.
Yes.
Whereas your consultancy, you're on your own. Am I right? Okay. So does working with partners enable you to have that broader reach in terms of businesses, or is it a preference, or is it that you've been approached? How has it come about that, well, you said in terms of the products that you started off as a brand strategist and then you became a partner, which is great. And being open to, I suppose, opportunities is part of that. So how, like, in terms of that, so a lot of the people that I've interviewed are kind of doing a lot of things on their own. And do you enjoy working in partnerships? Do you prefer working on your own, or does it depend on the business?
Yeah, I think it depends on your personality, and your personal preferences as well as the business. I personally work quite well on my own. When I need to get, I think strategy work often is, in your head. So when I can have some nice, quiet stretches of time to be able to do what I find, work that I'm really proud of, generally that is done on my own. However, there's something magical that happens in a team brainstorm or meeting where all of a sudden you're feeding off each other, amazing input. I mean, it's unbelievable. So I think there's a place for both. And I think it does depend on, as I said, your personal preference and also what the business needs. So I don't know if that answers your question. I guess I enjoy both. I think it's important to be able to, for myself, to have stretches of time where I can get the work done. And I typically try and keep meetings nice and short.
Oh, well done to you. Very good.
Yeah, very wasteful and time consuming, and then you stress because you haven't actually got to the work. So it's like, do the work and now keep the meeting times nice and short and sharp and focused. And when, take it as it comes. If there's a big discussion that needs to be had, make the time for it. Meet face to face if you can. I think also during this time has taught us that working remotely, from each other is possible.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's also about understanding your teammates, and for us, 4 weeks now that it's established, it's a little bit easier to talk about than our skincare line. But culture for us is like number one priority in our business. And by culture, we mean that, the culture of the business, which we feel totally expands outward. And if our culture is strong and healthy and beautiful and built on everything that we want it to be, honesty and respect and, understanding and acceptance, and then that's going to spill over into everything that we do, working with suppliers or working with some of our fans, etc. So for us, it's that, I guess what I'm trying to say is it's also understanding my teammates and knowing that, okay, Oliver likes to work like this, or it's very important for Dan, for us to maybe meet regularly or whatever, that is. And I think having that acceptance and respect goes a long way.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, maybe if people are thinking of starting a business and working with a partner, being very clear and not just kind of having that, I almost want to say that cerebral conversation and connect, but also that kind of heart and values connect as well, in terms of, do we really dream the same dream from our hearts, I suppose? Because you often hear about businesses where the partnerships go sour, and it's often because like, oh, but I work, only 9 to 5, and the other person's like, but why? I can walk in at 10 and work until midnight. That is not going to gel somewhere down the line, and so having that culture thing right is so important. I'm so glad that you brought that up. That culture is critical, and it is built off that core value that you want to put out into the world.
And it's like any relationship, communication is key. Really.
It really is. Yeah, you can't do anything without it. And the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. It's going to be a disaster. So that is definitely a great piece of advice. Make sure that you want the same thing, you work the same way, you want to put out that same culture.
You don't necessarily need to work the same way, but it's respecting that I like to work this way and you like to work this way. And it's understanding, so you have expectations, you've managed your expectations. And I think another thing, I read an amazing book recently called The Art of Possibility.
Oh, it's amazing. Best book ever.
Oh my word, I wish I'd found it sooner, but I'm just so grateful I found it now. And I love the concept of giving someone an A.
Yes.
And it's something we've integrated into our business, and giving ourselves an A too, and I think that with that comes a lot of trust. So, and I'm also working with younger partners, they're 24 and 25.
Yeah, hard.
Or, it's their first like real business, and although they're incredibly talented, and I know this is not their first business either, they're going to do so well, but it's also that having that trust, and by giving them an A and them giving me an A, we totally empowered to do our best, and we have such belief in ourselves that we can really shine. And that's been something super cool that I've really enjoyed recently.
And I think that book should actually be, if you're going into a partnership, that should be the book that you read. Or if you work in a team, even if you're in corporate or working in a team, that book should be a set work, really, for working in a team.
And regardless, just read it. It's awesome for life, the business, it's awesome for life. And maybe a lovely thing to be reading right now at a time where, maybe we do, there are concerns and real fears about what is possible. And I think, anything is possible. And I think that is a nice reminder. A lot of the lessons in that book are a nice reminder of that.
Yeah, no, it's a real goodie. Yeah. I think I just want to know, any hacks or anything that you think someone thinking about starting a business or running a business, what are the really important things that you kind of are not prepared to budge on in how you work or who you work with? What are the and some of the clever tips and tricks that you would advise?
What first comes to my mind is, in terms of the biggest hack, is believe in yourself
Yeah.
and value. You know, I think often, especially when we're starting something new, and I think about when I started my consultancy, you're a little bit nervous sometimes, and you know, maybe a little bit, I don't know, intimidated, and you can be by a certain project. And I guess starting a new business, it can feel somewhat intimidating, maybe. And I think just to really back yourself, believe in yourself, and I'd also like to say that, you know, your clients don't only choose you, choose your clients.
Mm.
You know, because you really want to enjoy what you're doing. And work takes up such a mammoth part of our lives that if you're not really enjoying it, and you're not really enjoying who you're working with, then you need to maybe step back and reconsider. Because there's so much joy and so much great work that can be done in an environment where there's a lot of respect and a lot of recognition and appreciation. And I think being able to, so that would be like a hack, like choose clients and projects that resonate and where you feel respected, you know, because it's actually not worth the pain of working with who doesn't value you and who isn't really on your page. I don't know, I don't know if it's what you were looking for. That kind of came to mind instinctively about backing yourself, you know, in every aspect, and having fun along the way. You know, I think we can so easily be bogged down. But if we can, just realize that, you know, you're trying your best, you're giving it your best shot, you're giving it all your energy. You know, what more could you ask from yourself?
Absolutely. Yes. And I almost want to add in, like, lose a little bit of the comparisonitis as well. You know, oh, so-and-so is doing it like this, or that one did it like that. And maybe if you just kind of, you know, every day just check in, have I done the best I possibly can? You know, am I being true? Am I valuing myself? Am I looking after myself? And connecting with all of those, then it's okay. It's okay if it doesn't work out, but at least you've given it your best shot.
Yeah, give it your best shot, you know.
Yeah,
and it can happen. I think, like, you know, being open, and you know, it's amazing how one little opportunity leads to so many.
Absolutely. As you say, I mean, you obviously went and worked in terms of brands with this African, you know, skincare range, and now you've become a co-founder. So if you hadn't been open to that, you were just like, I'm only a consultant, that's what I do, she would never have asked.
And also, you know, from that, we landed up working with the most amazing, like, creative design team that, you know, I got on so well with, and we went on to do another project together and another. So I mean, that's how it goes, you know. And I think so that's what, the hack, go for it, back yourself, believe in yourself, give it your best shot. Don't take it all too seriously, though. You know, have a good time. After all, this is life and it's meant to be lived. And choose your partners carefully, and don't undervalue yourself.
And it's so true in terms of choosing your partners carefully. I once made a big career decision based off of watching a movie. We were going on a holiday, and at the time I worked within healthcare advertising. And although I worked for a lovely company and I had great colleagues and a fantastic boss, I got on the flight and I watched The Constant Gardener. And it was all about, it's very beautiful and sad, and, you know, healthcare pharmaceuticals and some of the bad stuff that they have done in this movie, you know. So I don't know if it was true or not. And it just made me think, and I went, can I continue to work with a lot of these big pharma brands? Do I believe in what they do? And I I couldn't, it just sat so heavily on my heart that by the time we came back from that holiday, I resigned, because I couldn't work with those brands anymore. I didn't believe in what they were doing and what they were asking us to do. And so it is very important. It's a very hard, and at the I look back and I'm like, that was crazy. But it was so true, and I had to do that. And so I agree with you 100%. Really think about who you get into bed with, and who you associate yourself with.
And obviously, I mean, we're speaking also from like a huge level of privilege, which is what we kicked off our call talking about. And the ability to even be able to start your own business is a huge, I think, privilege, and if you can do it, if you do have that opportunity, just, as you say, be super true to yourself, give it your all, really, if you give it your all, like, something's got to give, it's got to break through. And I remember even the first, I think my attitude when I started my consultancy was one of like the biggest attributes. I resigned from my job. I had nothing in the pipeline. I think my parents were a little bit worried. They're like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Yeah." And I remember, getting a bee in my bonnet, like, okay, cool, I'm going to find clients. And like any potential lead there was, I got on a plane. I met with these two guys that I thought there could be potential brand work for me to do with them. We landed up having a lunch. They owned a coffee shop. They wanted me to, it was actually the guys, weirdly, from Naked Coffee. This is how crazy life is, which is one of our partners. And they actually were the guys who had brought Scotch and Soda and Superdry into the country. And I had a link with them by another cousin, big family. And I've actually come up with the name Naked Coffee for them, based on when you pour like a perfect espresso shot, if you can pour it through a naked filter, like a naked porter filter, and without the basket, it means that you've really, everything's been done to perfection.
Yeah.
So I met with them because I was going to I pitched, to do some work for them with Superdry, and we had lunch, and then they were like, come and have a coffee, and they wanted to show me their branding and their store. And this guy overheard us talking about, what was happening in the store, and he tapped me on the shoulder and he said, "I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I actually have an office, and we look at, do you do interior design? Because I'm actually looking to, redesign our office." And obviously, like, I have no job, I have no prospects at the moment. I was like, "I'll do anything." I was like, "Of course," And it landed up, I was like, elite. And I landed up going to his offices, and it turned out that he worked for a huge food and beverage distributor. I came from a food and beverage background.
Wow.
And skill set in branding and launching, especially a FMCG brand, was exactly what they were looking for. And I landed up working with them. They became a major client of mine. It was really a launch pad to be able to do a lot of other work. And through this client, we developed a beautiful relationship, and he gave me subsequently another client. And so it just goes to show, somebody can tap you on your shoulder in a coffee shop and think that you do interior design. And we like, they actually didn't even know they needed you, but they needed you, and amazing things can happen. So I mean, and I think my energy, just being open and enthusiastic, and had a lot to play in that.
Absolutely.
So that would be,
yeah, that self-belief, that desire to, you had that, nothing's changed since you started your business and where you are now. So you started off knowing that you wanted to work with interesting, good clients, and it actually came. So it was almost a manifestation, if you want to go down that route. So It's great. It's really super exciting. Oh, thanks, Lulu. That's a beautiful story. I hope that many other people out there will be lucky and to have that happen to them. So really, really
Yeah.
cool.
And I think I actually was listening to a podcast the other day, maybe one of Guy Raz's, about luck. I think it was the founder of the Dollar Shave Club, actually.
Yeah.
Such a success story. And I think Guy Raz's last question was about luck. And I remember, I'm remembering this in lots of bits. But essentially, he was like, any business person who says that luck hasn't played a role isn't being honest.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. There's, I think luck and network are huge. If you say, oh, you did it all on your own, I'm like, really? You know, like people share, they connect you, they put you in touch with, they tap you on the shoulder, whatever. So,
Totally.
yeah.
Lots of luck. Happen to anything. That means like, you know, there's a little bit of magic out there. So grab it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I like that. I like that. That it's yeah, that magic that you just need to plug into. Awesome. Oh, thanks, Lulu. So how can people get hold of you if they need brand strategy? And then obviously 4 weeks, maybe they can go to the website. Maybe you can give us those details.
Okay, fantastic. So for 4 weeks, yeah, please follow us on Instagram or on Facebook. We're 4 weeks. That's 4WKS _ pods.
Great.
And I'm not very big on social media personally, but you could, if you want to get in touch with me, you're welcome to email me at lulu@lulularche.com or find me on LinkedIn. It should be easy enough.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, great. Well, yeah, you're very easy to get hold of. And if you've listened to this podcast, you will buy those pods if you drink that stuff. So I'm going to become a huge proponent of this. All my friends for Christmas who drink Nespresso are going to be getting these pods. I think like, what a fantastic gift. And yeah, do you do like gift cards and all of that kind of stuff? And do you deliver? How does it work?
Yes, we deliver at the moment every Friday in Cape Town and the Winelands. We actually, in terms of being zero waste, we customized a console jar and we had it sandblasted, and then it has a customized oak lid, which is our one and only packaging. So you actually get this beautiful jar, locally made, filled with 30 pods. And then we have a refill, so we work on a refill system. So you get a little refill. So we're actually working on, at the moment, an online store. At the moment, we have a link on our Instagram where people can place orders for pods. But we, in the next, I'd say 2 to 3 weeks, should have our online store up and running. And we're working on, it's taken us quite a long time to find a low carbon, compostable, airtight solution for our refills. So, you know, I think I said our pods come in jars, which was airtight. The pods are porous. The sugarcane actually exposes the breathe. So it's not great for coffee. So it always needs to be kept in an airtight container. And we were trying, we've been really working hard on finding packaging that is super conscious, is airtight, but also is something that is either compostable or completely reusable, so that we can start shipping our pods around the country. So that's phase. We're super excited.
Very exciting. Good luck. I'm sure it's going to happen soon. Yeah, that's great. Oh, but thank you so much for chatting to us, Lulu. I hope everything goes well, and we'll be looking out for those beautiful products as well. And yeah, we'll definitely keep in touch.
Thank you for having me.
Such a pleasure. Cheers.
Bye-bye.